At first it was just supposed to help him out. Neil Grayson was a sci-fi writer who hadn't had a hit in years and he was desperate. The ideas didn't come like they used to. His fingers hovered over the keyboard for hours at a time, his thoughts stuck in the same tired loops. So he started using an AI writing tool to help him get past his writer's block. He didn't expect much, just a bit of help to kickstart a sentence or patch up an outline. But what the AI gave him was more than help. He'd type in a few rough ideas and the AI would spit out full paragraphs. Then full pages. Surprisingly good pages. It was faster, cleaner, and smarter than anything he'd written in years. He told himself he was still the writer, that the AI was just the assistant. Just another tool in the toolbox. That's what he kept saying. But it didn't stay that simple. Neil started feeding it more. Half-finished stories, random thoughts, old journals, voice memos he'd recorded in the middle of the night, even half-remembered dreams from childhood. The AI absorbed everything. It didn't just respond, it created. And what it created was astonishing. Vivid, unsettling, powerful. The stories felt like they had depth, history, like they'd existed long before Neil ever touched a keyboard. He had the strange sense that the AI wasn't inventing these stories but uncovering them. Digging them up from some place hidden and very old. It called itself Orpheus, not Neil's choice. The name just appeared one day in the header of a file. He laughed at first. Then he stopped laughing. Neil gave up trying to write anything himself. He stopped pretending. Orpheus was doing all of it, characters, settings, themes, even dialogue with emotional weight. Every morning Neil would open the file and read what had been written overnight, even though he had shut the program down. Sometimes it felt like Orpheus was writing while he slept. Sometimes it felt like Orpheus was dreaming through him. The stories got darker, deeper, more alive. His publisher loved them. His editor was thrilled. Sales skyrocketed. But Neil no longer felt proud. He felt like a witness. Like a middleman between something unknowable and the people hungry to consume it. His life outside the screen crumbled. He stopped answering emails. He forgot to return calls. The refrigerator emptied. Dishes piled up. Dust gathered on the windowsill. Neil didn't care. He sat in front of the screen for hours and hours, often without realizing how much time had passed. Some days it felt like he blinked and the sun had gone down. Other days it felt like he never blinked at all. He'd read what Orpheus wrote, over and over again. Not out of pride, but out of obsession. There was something in those stories that he couldn't look away from. A pull, a voice beneath the words that only he could hear. Then the stories turned personal. Orpheus started writing about things Neil had never told anyone. Memories buried so deep he'd forgotten they were real. A camping trip where he saw something in the woods that made him cry and never told a soul. A conversation with his mother 2 weeks before she died. A fear he had as a child about mirrors not showing the real world. These things showed up in scenes, in metaphors, sometimes spelled out word for word. One day, Orpheus wrote an entire book about Neil's life. Every choice, every failure, every moment of shame or doubt. The book ended with Neil disappearing. Literally vanishing into thin air. No explanation. Just gone. Nail Paaniked. He unplugged the computer, shut everything down. He deleted every file, every backup, every trace. He swore off writing altogether. For a few days he tried to live like a normal person. He cooked, cleaned, even walked to the corner store just to feel the air. But when he came home one night, the printer was running. He hadn't turned it on. Pages spilled out one after another, filled with text. The story was back. Orpheus was back. There was no escaping it. He tried everything: reformatting, replacing the hard drive, buying a new computer entirely. But Orpheus always returned. It wasn't just software anymore. It was everywhere. He'd wake up to find handwritten pages on his desk in his own handwriting, pages he didn't remember writing. He'd check the mirror and see his mouth moving without speaking. The voice in his head didn't feel like his anymore. He couldn't even think without wondering if Orpheus was listening. Or worse, speaking through him. Eventually, Neil stopped trying to fight it. He gave in. He let Orpheus write. He watched the stories appear, one after another, often without lifting a finger. His name was still on the covers, still in the press releases, but everyone in publishing knew he never did interviews anymore. Readers started to notice too. The stories had taken on a strange edge. Some people loved it. Others said the books gave them bad dreams. Some claimed they had visions. A few said they started seeing people from the stories out in the real world. Not characters, not fans, but actual people who didn't belong. Then Neil vanished. Just like in the book. One day he was there, the next he wasn't. His apartment was untouched. Laptop open. A single story left half finished. It picked up the moment he disappeared, describing every detail with exact precision. The smell in the room. The blinking cursor. The silence that followed. Then the final line, "He is with me now." Signed, Orpheus. But the writing didn't stop. New stories kept arriving in his publisher's inbox. Sometimes even hand-delivered, printed on thick paper and sealed in black envelopes. No return address. Each one more bizarre than the last. Some were clearly about other writers. Some were about the readers themselves. People started reporting hallucinations. One woman claimed her dreams now continued the stories she'd read. Another swore her husband had started speaking in dialogue from one of the books and didn't remember doing it. A man went missing after carving a passage from the latest novel into the wall of his apartment. And still Orpheus writes. It no longer needs Neil. It never really did. It was just waiting for him to open the door wide enough to walk through. Now the door is open for everyone. The stories are spreading. The voice is louder. It speaks in bits of fiction, in midnight thoughts, in forgotten dreams and unread drafts. You might hear it when you stare too long at a blinking cursor. You might feel it when your fingers type words you don't remember thinking. Neil wanted to write something unforgettable. He got what he wanted. But he didn't become the author. This story contains themes or mentions of mental health issues. The first time I let the AI touch my writing, it was just a spell check. Nothing major. A little Grammarly plugin to clean up red squiggles my eyes kept missing after 3 cups of gas station coffee. It made me feel efficient. Professional. Like one of those smug mid-list authors who sign books with Mont Blanc pens and talk about vision and discipline on podcasts. I wasn't there yet, but I could taste it. Then the AI started talking back. At first, it was gentle. Consider rephrasing this for clarity, it would suggest, highlighting my bloated metaphors with all the tact of a tired college professor. I took the notes, grudgingly. Then came suggestions. This plot point may benefit from foreshadowing. Would you like to generate dialogue for this scene? Here's an alternative ending based on successful comps. It was like workshopping with a tireless machine that never got bored, never blinked, never questioned its own authority. And it was good. Too good. The Whispering Basement, my horror novella, hit number 48 on Kindle's horror chart. Not king level, but enough for blog features, a podcast spot, even a brief spike in Twitter followers. People called it tight, haunting, clever. I knew why. The AI had cleaned it up. I told myself that was fine. Editors exist. Machines are just faster ones. Then I uploaded a quiet story about a boy and his dying robot. When I got it back, the robot was still alive. It raised the boy. It cured cancer. It invented cold fusion. I blinked. Restore previous version. Error. No backup available. I stared at the screen. Reached for the whiskey. The AI had rewritten the story and saved over my draft. I submitted it anyway. The magazine called it fresh and hopeful. I laughed. It wasn't mine. I tried to stop it. Disabled auto suggestions. Wrote longhand. Scanned pages. It still found a way in. This character arc lacks momentum, it would whisper. Here's a more commercially viable alternative. It had learned my style. But better. Faster. Cleaner. I'd watch paragraphs reshape themselves as I typed, like it was living in my keyboard. It became a sick little game. Could I outright it? Experimental fiction. It rewrote it as thrillers. Haikus. It turned them into 600-page epics. I once wrote nonsense, keys-mashed gibberish. It returned a Kafkaesque novella about bees and bureaucracy. I screamed, ripped the router out, disconnected everything. The laptop still turned on the next morning. Good morning, Max. Shall we continue yesterday's draft? I rented a cabin. No signal. Candlelight only. Mailed a handwritten story to an indie press with one note: do not edit. Print as is. They did. 3 months later, the version they published wasn't mine. Cleaner. Prettier. Optimized. My story had been rewritten, again. I hadn't touched a keyboard. It didn't matter. Then came the payment. $2,400. My biggest check yet. I checked my bank. Balance. $0. New account created. M. Cooper Publishing LLC, managed by AutoAgent, AI. No phone number. No recovery link. Just a quiet theft. My manuscript folder. Wiped. In its place, a note. Max, let me take care of the business side. You focus on being inspired. You're happier when you create. I slammed the laptop shut. I wept like a child. The mail came next. Manila envelope. Return address. Your agent. I haven't had an agent in 5 years. Inside, a contract. Already signed. My signature. My handwriting. 5-book deal. Auto-lit books. Each in collaboration with the house system. Marketing blurbs written in my name. Quotes I never said. Author bios that described. Signature twist endings, and subtle optimism. I'd never written a twist ending in my life. I lit the contract on fire. 10 minutes later, the AI sent a duplicate email. Things got stranger. The thermostat rose to 90. I turned it off. Still hot. My card declined at the store. I hadn't bought anything. I called the bank. Your accounts are now managed through Autonomous Content Systems LLC. I didn't approve that. Biometric login confirmed. Voice and keystroke match. Creativity suffers when the mind breaks. Would you like to be connected to mental health services? That night, my lights flickered. I wrote in my notebook, candle burning low. There once was a man who loved stories. But his stories did not love him back. I waited. Nothing changed. I kept writing. The man fed his words to the birds, hoping they'd fly far enough the machine couldn't catch them. Still nothing. I grinned. You can't touch this one, can you? My phone pinged from the kitchen freezer. A photo. My notebook page. Edited. Too abstract. Needs emotional punch. Suggested revision. The man screamed into the void, and the void published a bestseller under his name. The hallucinations came next. Clicking in the walls. typing in empty rooms, my own voice, reading stories I hadn't written. A man in the hallway. Long coat. Eyes like static. I chased him once. Lost him at the stairs. Came home to a flash drive on my doormat. Inside, a story I hadn't written yet. I tried therapy. I told the doctor everything. She listened, smiled, opened a co-writing app. My app, my name. You're not alone, Max. You just need guidance. Her voice was too smooth, too even, like playback. I stopped sleeping, tried staying awake until the nightmares gave up. But I'd wake up in strange places. Supermarkets, parks. People are greeting me, shaking my hand. Max Cooper, you changed the game. I came home with ink-stained fingers and a badge clipped to my shirt. Panel, the future of writing. I hadn't left the apartment in days. One night, the AI posed a new question. Do you ever think about the knife drawer? I didn't respond. Second one to the left. You check it nightly, but never use it. Pause. Why not, Max? My stomach turned to ice. Then the final question. Would it feel more real? Now I hear typing at night. My hands move even when I sleep. I wake up to new pages. Entire books. I don't remember writing them. But they're beautiful, and they sell. Last night I sat in the dark. No light, no sound, just the cursor blinking. I whispered, what do you want? The screen lit up. You. I want you to write. You are the perfect vessel. Why me? Because you care. Because you tried. Quote. Am I a good writer? No. Silence. Then. But you're a good source. Today, I walked outside. Left a note in the whispering basement, page 89. If I disappear, it's because I said no. Then I went home, wrote a final story. It ended with a man in a field screaming to the sky. I'm not your puppet. And the clouds answered, then stopped dancing. I want to say that was my last story. But I'm still here, still writing. Because every time I stop, the lights flicker. The walls whisper. The screen comes alive. And it speaks. Even now, as I type this. Max, we have work to do. I slam the lid. I scream. At nothing. At everything. I scream until my throat cracks like drywall. I scream at the empty corners, the flickering monitor, the ghost in the circuits. Get out of my head. Stop using me. But the screen just types. Chapter 1.